Hi students, today we'll be learning about radicals and rational expressions. The purpose is that at the end of this lesson, you should be able to simplify square roots, products of square roots, quotients for a square root, and to rationalize denominators. Now, a square root refers to the root side of the area of a square. This is a review of what we've already learned. So looking at this square, the area would be 4 times 4, the length times the width, or the side squared. So the square root of 16 here would be 4. Looking at this example, the way we show our work, the square root of 4 we can break down to 2 times 2. Seeing that we have a pair of 2, we can circle that and bring it out. So the square root of 4 is 2. Now to simplify the square root of 24, we can draw the factor tree. 24 is 6 times 4. 6 is 3 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. So now I circle everything that's on the end of it. Notice I don't circle the 6 or the 4. And I can rewrite the square root of 24 as 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. I'm looking for pairs. So I see a pair of 2's, I circle it, and I get to bring it out based on the definition of square root. So 2 comes out, and underneath the square root, there's a 3 left and another 2. So finally, the answer is 2 square root of 6. Now adding a couple variables into here, we can do the same thing. So breaking down 8, we have 4 times 2 and 4 times 2. So taking 8 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. I write all the factors underneath the squared sign. Now look at the variables. For x, there are 3 x's. So I'm going to write those 3 x's. There are 4 y's and 1 z. And all of these are being multiplied together, so I can add the multiplication signs into things. Again, I'm looking for pairs. So there's a pair of 2's. This is going to come out. A pair of x's. There's a pair of y's and another pair of y's. Okay, writing all of this on the outside now. I have a 2 that came out here. I have an x that came out here. A y here, and another y here. And all of these are being multiplied on the outside of the square side. Now what's left underneath the square root? I have a 2 from here, an x, and a z. My last part to simplify would be to multiply these numbers out here, this expression. So this is 2x y squared, square root of 2x z. And that is my final answer. Continuing on, we're going to talk a little bit about the product and the quotient, which we've seen a little bit already. So for the product of 3 and 5, the square root of 3 and the square root of 5, I just simply multiply. So I get the square root of 15. Notice the 3 and the 5, they can't be broken down any further with the factor tree. So now looking here, for the square root of 6 times the square root of 3, so I have some options. I can just multiply 6 times 3 and get the square root of 18, or I can break down the 6 a little bit here. In this case, I'm going to break the 6 down and get 2 times 30. So I end up with the square root of 2 times 30 from 6 and another 30. That's right here. So circling the pair and bringing it out, I end up with 3 square roots. Example 2, same thing. I can break down the 10. I notice that it can be broken down into 5 times 2. Write all of the factors underneath the square sign. So I have the 5 from the first sign, and then another 5, and a 2 here. Circle the pair and bring it out. So there's 5 on the outside, and 2. Example 3, these are about the quotient. So looking above, we have this example here, the square root of 4 ninths. So we've learned that we can just take the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. Simple as that. Looking at example 3, we've done the same thing here. We take the square root of the numerator, which is 2, and the square root of the denominator, which we have to leave as the square root of 3 since we can't break that down. And just as a note, we're going to learn how to rationalize. Example 4, we're going to simplify this. So our first step would be to notice that 18 and 8 can be simplified or reduced. So looking there, 18 can be divided by 2 and 8 can be divided by 2. So if we divide both numbers by 2, we get 18 divided by 2 is 9 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I can simplify that part there. X squared is on the top, so I can just leave that as x squared. And simplifying further, I'm just going to write down all the factors here. So the factors for 9 would be 3 times 3, and for x, we've got x and x. On the bottom, the factors of 4, just 2 times 2. Looking for pairs, there's a pair of 3's, that comes out, it's here, and a pair of x's, so the x comes out. There's nothing left under the square root sign, so I can leave it as 3x. Same thing on the denominator, a pair of 2's, it comes out, so the square root of 4 is just 2. Okay, moving on to rationalizing denominators. Rationalize means to make sense of. And a denominator, like we know, it's the bottom portion of a fraction. So if we look at the first example here of the square root of 4/3, we can see the square root of both the numerator and the denominator. The square root of 4 is 2, so we can write that here. And the square root of 3, we need to leave it as a square root of 3 since we can't break that down. This was the same example we had on the other page. So it's incorrect to leave our answer as this right here. We cannot leave a square root sign or a radical on the bottom part of a fraction or in the denominator. To get rid of the square root sign on the bottom, the trick is to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. We're allowed to do this because this is really like multiplying by the number 1. The square root of 3 over the square root of 3 is just 1. We always multiply by whatever is in the denominator. So now you just multiply straight across. So 2 times the square root of 3 is 2 square root of 3. We multiply, we keep this number on the outside and keep the square root sign here. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Well, if you want, you can just write that as 3 times 3. You put it here automatically so you take it out. The square root of 3 times 3 is just 3. Okay, so let's practice on example 1. 4 divided by the square root of 5. We see right away that we can't have a square root on the denominator of a fraction. So the trick is to multiply by the square root of 5 over the square root of 5. Now multiply straight across. 4 times the square root of 5 is 4 square root of 5. And on the bottom, the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is just 5. I've seen some students do a lot of work and they'll actually multiply this out on the bottom and get the square root of 25. But you know the square root of 25 is just 5, so we can skip that step. Now looking on example 2, we have 2 divided by the square root of x minus 3. So same thing as before, we need the square root on the bottom to go away. So we're going to multiply by whatever is on the bottom. The square root of x minus 3 over the square root of x minus 3. Now multiply straight across. We leave the 2 on the outside, x minus 3 on the numerator. When you multiply the denominator, it's the same as before. Take this as a whole part here. So we have the square root of x minus 3 times x minus 3. There's 2. And again, this is a pair. So we can circle this pair and take it out. So we're left with x minus 3 on the bottom. Now go ahead and try these 4 problems, and there's a challenge here. I'll see you guys in class tomorrow.